So this is what is a little confusing because he's been obsessed with tariffs since the 1980s.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if this is like just a personal crusade of his, like, kind of like a bucket list thing that he just was just obsessed with his whole entire life, and now he's just like, I just want to do this because, like you said, I mean, I it's if this continues, then we're most likely head to a recession, right? So, presidents don't like to be presidents during recession. So, why would you personally tank the economy for no reason? Like, we weren't in a bad spot. Like you said, we were actually in a good spot as far as the market, the unemployment, a variety of different things was actually he's actually inherited a pretty good situation.
Yeah.
Now, the debt is an issue for sure, but it wasn't needed. It wasn't needed to do it in this fashion. And a lot of people, it's going to cause a lot of pain.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, lower to middle income people are going to feel that pain the most, right? Because it's like, okay, if you got to pay extra $500 for something, that's inconvenient.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody is making $40,000 has to pay $500 for something, that's life changing.
Mm-hmm.
That could potentially be life changing, right? So yeah, I'm trying to figure this out. So you guys, what is your thought process? You brought up the interest rates. That's interesting. But outside of that, why would he do this? Like, why would he have this much pain so early in his presidency for no apparent reason?
Frank, you want to take it first?
No, go ahead, Kel. You already started.
Okay. Here's what I think. And this is my opinion, not Investopedia's opinion, but I think that they want to burn it down, or at least slow the economy, take it into a recession, bring the market way down, and then through whatever mechanisms, either through privatization, which is where a lot of this is going when you look at a lot of the government job cuts, privatization, so that those that are in close can line their pockets and get rich as they rebuild it back up, but through private means, right? And then redistribute that wealth among the people that are going to help them get reelected in the future. So I think that's part of it. I think there's also let's burn it down so we can build it back up and say, what a great job we did rebuilding this economy, which was in tatters. It is so rare. You mentioned it, Rashad. It is so rare for a president to come into office over the last 4 decades that's not in a recession. This president inherited actually a pretty strong economy. Biden inherited an economy that was coming out of the COVID pandemic. And even the last 2 presidents, they entered the White House in very difficult times for the economy. Not this time around. So maybe burning it down and then rebuilding and say, we fixed this whole thing and look how we did it. Meanwhile, a lot of it's been privatized and very few people are getting very rich off of this.
When I look at it, it seems to me, again, this is my opinion, not CNBC. It seems like to me a president's trying to establish a legacy. He felt like he was supposed to have back-to-back terms. He's come back into office now. One way to establish a legacy is to reshape global trade and put your mark on that. He's someone who has done business all around the world, whether it be casinos or golf courses. His first administration, he did hire a lot of business leaders. This time, it's even a bigger concentration of business leaders and people with very specific thoughts about the global economy. As Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent's a great example of that, somebody who's just seen as a global thought leader when it comes to finance. So I think for him, it's really his chance to put his stamp not only on the presidency the second time around, but the entire world. And I think you often hear him say when he's talking to business leaders about things that he sees as accomplishments, he goes, Trump got it done. Nobody else could get it done. People are saying that Trump got it done. So a lot of it seems like his legacy, at least in his mind, is at play. And you have to remember, this is somebody based on what we saw in reports and ourselves on TV that faced, a near death experience, possibly being assassinated. He's an older gentleman. He's close to about 80 years old himself. So when you get to that stage, as we all get older, we start to think more about what am I leaving behind? How are people going to see me? What accomplishments do I have? And this generally seems like an accomplishment.
Let me just say something. That's a very good point. That's actually, both of you, that's very insightful what you just said, because he puts his name on everything, right? He's the guy that puts his name on stuff that he doesn't even own. So like Trump Tower and Trump, like he's very big on branding and he's very big on legacy. So he said this before, as far as like, if he can be the person that literally reshapes world trade from like how it's been for the last 100 years in a free trade market, and if he can, and now it can be like the Trump trade plan for the world, branding wise, I haven't really thought about it like that, but that makes a lot of sense. That actually makes a lot of sense.
It's kind of like what he alluded to, like what you were saying. He's had this ideology since the 80s. It was that Johnny Carson interview where he's sitting there talking about trade. But even watching him today, it feels like there's a certain level of delusion, right? I think Josh Brown said it today. Like he's either incredibly right or he's going to be incredibly wrong about this. As the market is tanking, right? The Dow's down 1,500 points. Reporters are asking him about it, and he said, the market's looking great. There's going to be a boom in the market, and it just feels like a level of delusion, even to the point where we're talking about making jobs come back to America. And Caleb, before you were on, we were kind of alluding to it, like, does that even feel fathomable at this point, right? The amount of time that it would take to build some of these jobs. I know Nike took a crazy hit, Apple. Does this feel like something that is even feasible over the next 5 years? Because 10, 15 years, you can build factory, you can build industry, but by that time, it won't, these companies are going to take such a financial hit. People, the customers, obviously, if the companies are taking a hit, they're going to raise prices. People are going to feel the impact. Is it even feasible to bring these jobs back?
Well, we've only got like 13 million manufacturing jobs in this country right now. That's down from like 20 million. Even the president alluded to it himself, but there's a reason. A lot of people don't want those jobs. They don't pay that well. They're really hard jobs, right? They're very difficult. They're physically difficult. They require a lot of hours. They don't pay that great. There's no more pensions anymore. So who is doing those jobs? A lot of the people that immigrated into the United States, the same people he wants to send out of the United States, were actually taking those jobs, right? So building the factories is one thing. Creating factories where you can pay a real livable wage, where somebody can raise a family on it and maybe, God forbid, own a home at some point in time. That's asking a lot of companies who are measured on a quarterly basis based on their bottom line, right? They are responsible to shareholders. So when you have a shareholder mentality, right, and you have to answer to them every single quarter and increase your projections and your forecast going forward and keep beating the street, and Frank knows this well, you're not going to pay the best wages. You're going to find the cheapest source of labor that you can. And that cheap source of labor has been Mexico, that has been Vietnam, that has been China, that has been anywhere but here. So you're asking companies to pay a lot more for that. And by putting tariffs on products coming into this country and now the retaliatory tariffs, you're not solving that part of the problem. The part of the problem that we have to solve is, are they responsible to their shareholders? Are they responsible to their communities? Or are they responsible to the United States to provide living wages for people so they can raise families? That is a real big disconnect.
You can't have it both ways.
You can't.
You can't have a capitalist society and then say, well, we want everything to work fairly. That's not how capitalism works. This isn't, you can't be anti-socialism and anti-communism and say we want everybody equal. No. The capitalist society is to make the most money as possible by spending as least money as possible. They're not doing anything illegal. It's not good business to spend billions of dollars more than you need to. It's more efficient to get the job done in those other countries because you can pay the people less. We don't have to sugarcoat it, right? It's more efficient to get the job done in other countries because you can pay the people less and you can produce the products quicker, less red tape. You don't have to go through regulation. It's a variety of different factors. Just like if you're building a home, it's more effective to have illegal immigrants build a home because they don't have health benefits. They're not part of a union, and you can pay the people less. Now, is that morally right or wrong? You can make an argument on both sides, because on one side, you can say it's morally wrong. On the other side, you can say it's better than what they were getting in the other country. That's why they came to this country. So it may not be what you're looking for, but you're not them. So this is not, I don't understand this, but this is easy for people. If you haven't employed somebody, you don't have a full appreciation of this. If you are an employer, then you look at things differently. So none of these companies are going to be happy about spending more money.